Good morning, friends. Please stand. Let's just start with some tension and relaxation exercise. Inhale, tense your whole body. Vibrate and then dump the body. Exhaling and relaxing. Again, inhale with will. The greater the flow of the energy. Exhale. Again, inhale. Vibrate the whole body. The greater the magnetism. Exhale. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, beloved Guru Deva, Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, I bow at thy feet. I lay the flowers of my devotion gently at thy feet. Receive me as thy child. Guide me. Show me the way. Protect me. And help me to live ever in thy joy inside myself. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I want to start with a reading from Whispers from Eternity by Yogananda Ji. Every sound that I make, let it have the vibration of thy voice. Every thought that I think, let it be saturated with the consciousness of thy presence. Let every feeling that I have glow with thy love. Let every act of my will be impregnated with thy divine vitality. Let every thought, every expression, every ambition be ornamented by thee, O divine sculptor. Chisel thou my life according to thy design. We'll hear some chanting now by Swami Kriyananda Ji, and then we'll meditate for a few minutes together.
Through many lives I've drunk the cup of laughter. No man could tell the pleasures I have known. The stars in the endless sky, if one could count, would come to billions. Yet as vast as are their numbers, so many years I've wandered far from you. Yet as vast as are their numbers, so many years I've wandered far from you. Through many lives I've drunk the cup of sorrow. No man could tell the bitter tears I've shed. The drops in the endless sea, if one could count, would come to billions. Yet as vast as are their numbers, so many years I've wandered far from you. Yet as vast as are their numbers. So many years I've wandered far from you. Through countless lives, I've sought your cup of sweetness, found other cups, yet thirsted evermore. The streams in the hills of time all found their way into a desert. Every noon of bright fulfillment, ere many hours did sink to evening gloom. Every noon of bright fulfillment, ere many hours did sink to evening gloom. I long for you in summer and in winter. Only for you my heart thirsts day and night. I've learned that the sweetest songs ears ever heard were but your echo. Lord, at last, fill me completely, for nevermore I'd wander far from you. Lord, at last, fill me completely, for nevermore I'd wander far from you.
Rama, 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 Rama,
Let's meditate now for a few minutes. Feel the blessings of God and the Masters now enveloping you. Now let's affirm together this affirmation by Paramahansa Yoganandaji. I'll read it first and then I'll have you repeat it after me. Perfect Father, thy light is flowing through Bhagavan Krishna, Jesus Christ, through the saints of all religions, through the masters of India, and through me. This divine light is present in all my body parts. I am well. Please repeat after me now. Perfect Father, thy light is flowing through Bhagavan Krishna, Jesus Christ, through the saints of all religions, through the masters of India, and through me. This divine light is present in all my body parts. I am well. Perfect Father, thy light is flowing through Bhagavan Krishna, Jesus Christ, through the saints of all religions, through the masters of India, and through me. This divine light is present in all my body parts. I am well. Perfect Father, thy light is flowing through Bhagavan Krishna, Jesus Christ, through the saints of all religions, through the masters of India, and through me. This divine light is present in all my body parts. I am well. Whispering, Perfect Father, thy light is flowing through Bhagavan Krishna, Jesus Christ, through the saints of all religions, through the masters of India, and through me. This divine light is present in all my body parts. I am well. Mentally say it, Perfect Father, thy light is flowing through Bhagavan Krishna, Jesus Christ, through the saints of all religions, through the masters of India, and through me. This divine light is present in all my body parts. I am well. Now we'll hear a talk, an excerpt from a talk by Swami Kriyanandaji. It's about 10 minutes long.
I've told you this story, it's worth repeating, of an Italian artist. His name was Benvenuto Cellini, and he wrote an autobiography. It's well worth reading. You can find it in the stores, at least in English or Italian. And the Pope was not paying him. Popes are really just human beings, and this Pope was interested, just as too many merchants are, getting what he could out of this guy, but not willing to give him back his due. And Benvenuto Cellini was a stubborn fellow, rightly so, but the Pope unfortunately had the power, so he threw him in prison. And there he was in this dungeon with a damp mattress, rats running on the floor, no decent light, except 1 hour a day he was able to read the Bible. He had for food the classic diet of prisoners in those days, bread and water. And he still would not give in. I admire that stubbornness. Finally, the Pope gave in. He said, all right, I'll pay you. I want the work that you're doing. So he let him out. But the beautiful thing about that story is not the fact that he had to suffer. That's nothing. It's the fact that he found joy in that suffering. You see, he had nothing else to do except read the Bible maybe 1 hour a day. What did he do with the rest of the time? He prayed. He thought of God. And bit by bit, just in that thought, people think, well, how do you find joy? You don't create joy, but you open yourself to it by remembering your own higher self. And then that joy began to dawn within him, and he felt more and more joy. Finally, when he'd been let out, he said, if you want to know what joy is, then arrange to be thrown in a dungeon. And he described all these conditions, and he said, and then pray to God. Think of God, share your life and your thoughts with him. Don't waste your time in bitterness. Just do something with your life to give yourself to him. And he found that joy. Well, it's a wonderful example of what is the truth of all our beings. That one God is in you. Don't forget it. And you may say, oh, but how can he love me if I've suffered so much? No, he doesn't want you to suffer. But yes, he did create a law, and you can say, as my guru explained, that if you put your hand on a hot stove, the hand will get burned. Now, the fact that stoves and heat burn your hand is not meant maliciously. It's to protect your hand. If you were able to leave your hand on the stove, or worse still, put it in the flame, you would lose your hand. If you didn't feel pain, it would be unfortunate for you because you'd destroy your body. So pain and suffering were given to us for a good reason. Don't think God doesn't love you because of it. He gave a law, and when you go against that law, yes, you suffer. And he sometimes, like a beautiful story of a Christian saint who had many tests in her life. And when she was an old woman, she was trying to found another monastery, and she was going on horseback, and her nuns were around her, and they were crossing a river, fording a river, but the river was swollen by winter rains, and the horse lost its footing and got swept away, and the nuns all thought, oh, she's drowned. Well, what actually happened was that she suddenly saw Jesus on the other bank of the river, and before she knew it, she was standing there completely dry. And he smiled at her. He said, Teresa, don't feel so badly. This is how I treat all my friends. She had a good sense of humor. She said, ah, my Lord, no wonder you have so few. But you know, God does test us. If you read the lives of saints, you'll see that none of them went waltzing into heaven. They all had a hard time. But the purpose of it is to kill your ego and to get rid of your thought that you are anything except that child of God, in love with God. Yes, there's a certain side of the path that seems difficult. There was one sister disciple of mine. She was the most advanced woman disciple of my Gurudev. She went through much physical suffering. She wrote once that, I understand now, the Guru doesn't care about whether you suffer or not. He wants to free you from all delusion and therefore all suffering. And like a good doctor, I remember when I was a boy in Romania, I was supposed to be on a diet of no dairy products for some time, and it ruined my teeth. No calcium, and as a result, I had many cavities. And the dentist in Bucharest, out of compassion, when I was yelling too loudly, decided, all right, that was enough, and he would just fill my tooth. Well, of course, what he did was not clear away all the decay. So later on, I had even worse teeth. Now, was that real compassion? A true doctor would have said, well, I'm sorry, but this is for your good. And he couldn't bring himself to do it because of my childish cries. Well, a true guru doesn't mind giving you a certain amount of pain, or any amount of pain, if he knows that you will be freed. And you know, at the end, he kept her in her body. He made a contract with God that She would remain until he himself released her. He kept her to finish her karma. She was supposed to go long, long before, but he kept her there so she could work out her karma. And that's when she said, I have come to realize that the Guru doesn't care about whether you suffer or not. What he cares about is freeing you from all the karmas that can lead to suffering. And the last words in her life were, oh, such joy, too much joy. That's what it's all about. Dwell on the thought of that joy. Don't dwell on your hardships, because God gives them to you. There was another disciple, another woman disciple, who had to go through many, many trials because she had a body that was not well. And somebody said that on the operating table under the anesthesia, they heard her saying, go ahead, cut it all away, piece by piece, I don't care. All of this while she was under anesthesia. But she had reached that point where it didn't matter. She wanted to be free. This is what a true devotee is. This is what a true disciple is. And the purpose of the Guru, finally, is to help us to understand that kind of freedom. Now, when we experience that, then we also know that death itself isn't the reality. It's a doorway. Life is just a revolving door. People come in, people go out. That's a much more real than this world. And that's why my Guru's Guru, my Param Guru, Swami Shri Yukteswar, said that this universe, the physical universe, is just like a little basket under the huge balloon of the astral universe. That universe is more real than this world. But
I'd like to start the talk today with a reading from the Essence of the Bhagavad Gita, Master's Words edited by Swami Kriyanandaji. God, Yoganandaji said, also weeps for mankind, for man's follies and sufferings. He weeps for human wickedness, also, for though it produces grief for the recipient of wickedness, it produces even more grief in time for the wicked themselves. Yet the Lord lets his show go on. He created it without any sense of personal involvement. The drama of every individual's life must work its slow way by however winding a road to its eventual, inevitable conclusion. Reabsorption in the bliss of Satchidananda. God is conscious of every thought, every flicker of feeling, in every single one of his creations. Yet he stands apart from it all. Even in the story of the Bhagavad Gita, although Krishna served Arjuna as his charioteer, his condition for doing so was that he would take no part in the battle. Arjuna knew that the Lord's mere presence was enough. And in fact, Krishna did intervene in a sense when the need became crucial. The same is the case when a devotee lives for God, and in the thought of him, God never intervenes openly, yet somehow everything comes out all right in the end for the devotee. Indeed, it comes out in the best possible way. As Krishna stated, Arjuna, know this for a certainty, my devotee is never lost. This is a beautiful reading and a beautiful talk by Swami Kriyanandaji. The topic today is the practice of joy. Now, that word practice means it has to come out of us. We can't expect it to come to us without our wanting it, our enthusiasm around it, our reaching out to it. I remember once when Swamiji wrote this particular chant, I want only thee, Lord. And many of us at Ananda Village were, it was at the beginning, it was new, we're new and young. And I remember thinking, I want a lot of other things. And then Swamiji said to all of us, just affirm it. If it's not true for you yet, if joy isn't true for you yet, affirm it, reach out towards it, magnetize it to you, draw it to you. I was remembering when I was a child, I was always happy. I don't know how your childhood was. We didn't have much, but we weren't poor, but I always had a sense of inner happiness. And my mother said you would always kind of just sit by yourself and you were contented. And I remember just very simple, very innocent, very joyful childhood, and just having this wonderful feeling all around me all the time, no matter what the circumstances were. And there were just, in those days, there wasn't a lot of outward things to do. I remember we went maybe once a year to a restaurant, and that had to be a big celebration. All the food was cooked at home. I remember there were just on the television 7 channels only. I don't know how many you can get today, but there was very wholesome programs. I remember that Lassie, it was about a wonderful dog somebody had, and there was a Wonderful World of Disney and all the Disney characters that you know about. They had shows about them. I remember the Wizard of Oz, and that came on once a year, and you would just wait for that one time a year. It was just such a clean, wholesome life. We would now I know the pictures. I went to things on television, the shows. I was visiting my family once and a few years back, and I had been in India for a long time. So I came in, and one of my sisters, I said, "Oh, hi, how are you? So glad." I mean, I hadn't been there for a year. She said, "Just a minute, I've got to finish watching my show." And I said, "Well, what are you watching?" She says, "Scandal." And I said, "Why would you watch something like that?" And the shows, and that was just a couple of years ago, Scandal, Empire. It's just a very materialistic vibration. When we were growing up, I remember the things we would do was go out skating. We had roller skates, go on a bicycle, kick a ball, climb a tree, and we would play this game, Make Me Laugh. And I mean, just very simple, very innocent, very sweet. And this is how I think many of us were brought up like that. And I was a happy child. Then I remember at a certain point, my happiness started going down. And I just, as I became a teenager and I wanted more things and I wanted the recognition or whatever people want at that stage of the game. But I remember my joy level just kept going down. And then I felt my heart was just, it was painful because I knew inside me that seed of joy was there, but it got covered over. And then I remember when I decided to go to Ananda, it just had to be Master's grace because I didn't know anything about Ananda. Someone had told me, but this was in the 70s. And I remember I left everything. I left my job, I left my family then, I left everything. And I remember I put everything in my little Volkswagen car and I drove up to Ananda. And I remember my mother said, they were all crying, my whole family. They said, where are you going? I just finished college. I had my whole life in front of me. And I just said, I'm going to Ananda. And they said, Ananda, what does that even mean? I told them, I said, I don't really know. I just know it means joy. And I just have to go and look for that. And for a dozen years, my family was against me. You know, it was like, why did you go there? Why don't you stay with us? Why I'm sure you've heard this. You're wasting your whole life. And then after a while, my mother's attitude changed. She met Swami Kriyanandaji after 12 years. I didn't go back. I said, no, I'm going to Ananda. And what happened was she met Swami Kriyanandaji, and I can't tell that story today, but I'll tell it another time. It was a miracle that master set that up. And so there she was meeting Swami Kriyanandaji. This was, I don't know, 30 years back or something. And the first word my mother says to Swamiji, he says, hello, I'm Swami Kriyananda. And then, man, she's been like upset with for all this dozen of years. And I just couldn't believe her words. She says, oh, I'm on the path too. And he said, I know you are. And that changed her life. And then after that meeting, she looked at me and she said, you stay on the path and I'm right behind you. And I thought, this is impossible that my mother has changed so much. But she saw how happy I was. She saw I was inwardly happy. My sisters would always say, gosh, you look so young and healthy. And I said, it's the yoga. You need to do the yoga. And, you know, it became a life of just simplicity. You don't need all those things. I remember at the beginning of my time at Ananda, I met this Swami Swami Kriyanandaji had different Swamis come, and his name was Shunyabai, Brother Zero. And I just thought, wow. And what I remember was he wasn't tainted. His eyes were so sweet. His face was aglow. He was so joyful and so happy. And everybody I met there at Ananda, I just went, I want to look like them. I don't want to be stressed out. I don't want to have a pain in my heart. And then I met that man. And then afterwards, I was remembering I moved into the Ananda San Francisco ashram. Now, before that, I mean, I had a very good paying job. I had everything a person would want, but I was so unhappy. I just knew this wasn't my life. And so I would go to the Ananda house. Well, before I go there, I'll tell you another kind of funny, humorous story. I went up to Ananda, and people, as I said earlier, they were living in all kinds of dwellings, a teepee, a tree house, a yurt, a tent. Now, I was a complete city slicker then, and I didn't have anywhere to live. I went to an apprentice program. So I got a tent, a pup tent. So that's a small tent. I practice in my backyard in LA so I could know how to set up the tent. I was going into this rustic life of Ananda. In the early days, it was rustic. So I had my tent, I went up there and I camped as far away as I could go. I didn't want to be around anybody. I'm a yogi and a hermit now. And so I went far away. The only person I ever heard out in the forest was Keshava. He was singing out there. And lo and behold, what happens the very first night, I mean, honestly, I was not feeling courageous in that tent. I barely got the tent up and I was in the tent. I didn't really know what to do. And in the middle of the night, I heard this scratching on the tent. And oh God, what is that? And I had a flashlight. I looked out the screen of the tent and there was a whole family of raccoons. You know, raccoons have this kind of a mask appearance. And there was the mom, dad, and all the kids. And I was scared to death. That was my only night in the tent. I said, I'm getting out of here. When the raccoons finally let me go, I moved indoors and I never moved outdoors again. But it was a simple existence. And at a certain point, I moved to the a city center at Ananda. And first, before that, I had my own place, and I would go every day to that ashram. I just couldn't get away from the vibration. And everybody said, "Well, Dhyana, you're here every day. Why don't you just move in? There's space for you." I said, "No, I need my space. I need things, and I'm not gonna." I looked around. I'm not gonna ever live here. It was on my mind. And then at a certain point, something happened, and my car got broken into twice in a row. And I thought, is this a sign from God? So I moved into the Ananda house. Even today, I just can't tell you how happy I was. I had so many things on the outside, but I just wasn't happy on the inside. And when I got to Ananda, I slept in another gal's room, a small room on a futon on the floor. My head was up against the door. So anybody wanting to come in, sometimes it would hit my head. And I tell you, I was so happy. And then I moved to another Ananda house in San Francisco. And it was just very simple, very sweet, very innocent joys. We had such a wonderful time, and it had nothing to do. We had nothing. At that point, I left my job completely. I went from a large salary to $35 a month. That's like nothing. Plus, I had room and board though. And here again, I just felt so free. I was so happy. And what did we do there? Just simple joys. We lived in a beautiful area. There were all these really nice restaurants and places to go, but we never went there. We went down. I never forget. We went down to the pie shop. I love apple pie, so we went down to the pie shop, Beppel's Pie House, and we would go there. I mean, just everybody in the house, we couldn't really afford to go out to dinner, even if we wanted. And then sometimes we go to the chocolate shop, but that was about it. I mean, we didn't even have a desire to do anything else. It was just such a wonderful inward existence. I remember seeing one time here in Gurgaon, the centers near the Metropolitan Mall. And I was driving by there one day, and I just couldn't believe this. Never in America would you ever see anything like this. There were at least 200 Nayaswamis. They were walking in front of the mall, and all the people at the mall were, "Oh, look at that." And I just think that's fantastic. I said, these people need to get out of the stores. I mean, how much do you need? I know a couple of people who live near me, just, people who live in this neighborhood. And there's like two people in the family, and they have like 4 or 5 cars, 2 people who can drive. And it's like, I remember I asked my mom once, I was helping her to clean out her things at the house. And I looked at all those shoes. I said, "Mom, why do you need 50 pairs of shoes?" She says, "Don't talk to me about yoga now." But think about it. Our life has become completely materialistic. I need this. I want this. And I see the parents just giving the children whatever they want. I want this. I want that. Give me this. I want a bigger thing. I want a bigger computer. Please, mommy, give me that. And the mother's just, okay, give it here. In our house, there was discipline. You just didn't have it. We didn't have the money to do it anyway. But think of yourself as having nothing, and you're just free inside. The practice of joy is inside. And I was thinking about how our path, it's so wonderful. That's natural. It doesn't force you. You can't do this. Don't do that. Don't go anywhere. Don't do this. I mean, that's suppression. But what it does give are the keys to finding that joy within again. The keys. A master gave the teachings of how to withdraw. Just imagine a tortoise with this limbs just coming in, and it's just a shell then. He taught how to withdraw the outward going energy, how to cut the sense telephones and the kingdom of God, just light it up, the chakras. And those are powerful magnets that withdraw. If we can just meditate, even a little practice, it says in the Bhagavad Gita, even if you're not on the path, just say, I will do a little. I see people here, they're all worried, they're tense, they're upset, and there's no need. Go inside. There's a whole nother world there. And I'm just finding it so wonderful just to, birds are coming on the balcony. I saw a beautiful parrot the other day, and, nature's trying to communicate again. We had no time before. No, I don't have time for you. I don't have time. I don't have time to look at the trees. I don't have time to look at the flowers. I don't have time to hear the birds. And, right by me is a little park where I walk. And yesterday and the day before, I don't know, this may be true or maybe not, but I like to think of it as true. As I was walking into the little park, there was a parrot there, and it was just singing his heart out. Just like, is anybody listening to me? And I stopped there and I just started talking with him. I said, are you singing? It's so beautiful. Is this your house? Do you live over here? And then the next time I went in there was, I don't know if it's the same one, but there were two parrots. They're singing away. We need the time to reattune to our nature within and not race through life. And Master showed how to withdraw and go inside and draw the energy up to the spiritual eye so that nothing else matters. I've been so proud and so happy to see some of our young people. They want to get Kriya now. They want to learn Kriya Yoga. They want to practice. There's Advait, who took Kriya when he was, I think it was 13 or 12, and Samvit, he's working towards Kriya. He'll take it soon. There's Agastya, who's wanting to move in that way. These are the younger people. There's some older ones too. There's Vedant, who's there in white. These are great souls. And they came in saying, no, I don't want this. I don't want that. I want to know God. I want to know truth. And it's so refreshing. I talked to Advait before he took Kriya because I wanted to make sure he was sincere. And this is Jayanti's son. It's a whole family of Kriya bonds. And I said, now, Advait, why did you start coming to the center? He was coming before, but he wasn't going to the classes of Kriya Yoga preparation. He said, so I wanted to see what my parents were doing. And I went to level 1 and I liked it. And I said, oh, okay. And why did you go 9 months to classes? You didn't miss, did you? He said, no. I said, why did you keep going? I loved his answer. I liked it. And then when he took Kriya, I said, now, why did you want to take Kriya? You're just taking initiation. He says, I liked it. Now, your soul likes it. The soul is just reaching out. What about me? And he even had the day after his Kriya initiation, he had a cricket match early in the morning. I think it was 6:30 in the morning. And the day after he took Kriya. And what I learned was he got up at 4:30 to do his sadhana, to do his Kriyas. He likes it. This is the thing you're going to find. As you just take some time and go inside, you feel so happy. I found the joy that I lost in my life back inside myself. Through Master, through Ananda, through the techniques, through the teachings that nobody can take. Maybe you'll lose everything in life. They come true. But nobody can take God from you. Nobody can take that joy away. And I was remembering uh, some beautiful stories of that inner joy. That's just take some time and just get acquainted with it. I love that response of Jayaji when we were giving a talk somewhere, and there was a question answer time, and someone asked him, well, what powers do you have? What cities do you have? And he said, well, I don't think I have any. And then you can see the man, oh God, why am I listening to him? He doesn't even have any powers. So then Jayaji said, he said, well, hold on. I think I might have one power. And the audience was quiet. Everybody's listening. And he said, the power to be happy at will. Now, how many people do you know who have that power? There's not many. There's a beautiful picture of Ashaji after the fire at Ananda village in the 70s, where she's smiling. She's taking all the burned tree limbs and everything. She's carrying them off with a big smile on her face. It's not like, oh God, community burned down. There was so much energy. Swamiji said when the temple burned down there that he helped to build, he just said, first of all, Jyotishji saw him. He was lying, Swamiji was lying on the ground on a sleeping bag afterwards. And Jyotishji thought, well, oh, he's going to be very upset and worried. And so he went there. And as he got close to Swami, where Swamiji was lying down, he heard Swamiji saying, joy, joy, joy. He felt it inside himself. Then he went to the local store and he was singing. And someone behind the counter, or someone who had lost their property, I think a year before, they said, oh my gosh, you're singing. How can you be singing? Didn't you, your temple just burned down? You just lost your temple. And he said, yes, it's true. I lost my temple, but I didn't lose my voice. And this is what we have to live by. Have you lost everything? No. Everything that we want to cling to is inside ourselves. And as we meditate more, we feel that joy more and more. I love the story of the alcoholic, the man who drank and he wanted to do Kriya Yoga, and Master said, okay, fine, you can do it, but just keep practicing. That's the thing he said. And that's what I'll say to you. Just keep practicing. And so the man would practice with a bottle of whiskey or something in one hand, and then he would drink, and then the other hand he had his mala, his Kriya beads, and he'd practice Kriya, and he'd drink and practice Kriya. And at a certain point, he put the bottle down. He says, I'm just so full of joy and bliss. I don't need this anymore. And he never went back to drinking. Think about it. You fill in the blank. If it's anger, if it's fear, if it's emotions, if whatever, you fill in the blank. And it never came back to him again. And there's a wonderful story of the postman Brinda, who was very humble, very sweet, very open. And he went to visit his guru, Lahiri Mahashaya, one day. And there was another man who said, oh, he's asking for higher initiations, this other man. Oh, Guruji, I'm ready, I'm worthy. And Lahiri Mahashaya kept saying, no, just wait a little while. And so in walks Brenda, and Lahiri Mahashaya says, Brenda, come here, sit next to me. And he says, Brenda, do you want more initiations? And the humble postman said, no, master, no. He says, are you sure, Brenda? You don't want the higher Kriya initiations? He says, no, master, no. I'm so filled with joy, I can barely deliver my letters. I came here today to get your blessing on delivering my mail. This is how a yogi's life is. It should be just full of joy. And one other beautiful story was about this disciple, Bob Raymer. Some of you have heard it, but it's worth repeating. And he came in to see Paramahansa Yogananda ji, and he had everything a person could have. He was a millionaire, and he came to visit. He came to see master. He didn't know him. So he comes and master opens the door, and he flew in on his private jet. And then he comes to see master. And so master opens the door and says, well, how can I help you? He says, oh, I want to learn this Kriya Yoga. And master says, okay, come on in. So master's he sees his disciple, and he's just trying to get him to figure out, this is why you're here, not that. And so the man is sitting across from him, and master has the photos of his relatives. He keeps turning, oh, this is my sister, that's my brother, and on and on. And then he had some mithai, some sweets. He's putting them in the disciples. He wasn't a disciple, yeah, but he's putting them in his mouth. And, oh, do you like these? And he's, oh, look at this and that. And the man didn't know what to think. He said, I came here to learn Kriya Yoga. So master finally says, okay, tomorrow, 10 o'clock. So the man comes back, and master initiates him. And he tells him, don't drink. The man, he said, I didn't drink my usual 2 martinis in the evening because my guru told me to practice this Kriya Yoga and not drink. So he starts to practice meditation, doing his first Kriyas. And he said it wasn't but a couple of those Kriyas, and my whole energy rose up my spine. And he said, I've been waiting for this my entire life. And he said he started to weep. He started to laugh. He fell off the bed where he was sitting, crying and laughing. And he thought, this has been hidden in me the whole time. And you just have to draw that energy back inside. I was remembering a story, this example. I grew up with 2 sisters, and they were 12 and 17 years younger than me. So I was like the mom with them. So I would take them sometimes, shopping for the house. And I would say to them, now they were little kids then, I'd say, now you don't ask for anything. You might go through this with your kids. There are certain things on the list that mom has given. Don't ask for anything else. And they'd sit in the back seat and they'd swear, no, oh God, I'm not going to ask for anything. I'm not going to. I said, are you going to ask? Are you? No, I'm not going to ask for anything. Soon as we put one foot in the store, can I get this? Can I get that? Let me get this. Oh, I want that. And that's how life is. People are like children. Can I get this? I want this. I want 5 of these. I want more of that. But as you go inside, you feel like, what is it but dust? Why do I need another one of these? Why do I need more of that? Why do I need more of this? And you realize that joy is within. I'll end with the humorous story. The master said that he used to tell this story. There was a man who left a hermitage and his guru because he says too much work and he wanted to just, be a hermit. So he's sitting under a tree and he's taken with him just a begging bowl and 2 loincloths. And so after the first night, he's a hermit. The first night, he's seen a mouse has come and has munched at his cloth. So a man passes by, he says, a master. Master said, he's correct. He said, it wasn't a master, it was a student trying to become a master. But the man says, master, what's wrong with you? He says, I've given up everything. And now I see that a mouse is trying to munch at my cloth and my loincloth. And the man says, oh, that's easy. Get a cat. And the man says, how am I going to get a cat? He says, I'll give you a cat. Don't worry. So he brings a cat, mice flee. And then the man walks by again, and there's the master. And he says, now, master, what's wrong with you now? And he says, now I have to take care of the cat. I have to get the cat milk. And the man says, oh, that's easy. Get a cow. And he says, well, how am I going to get a cow? I'll give you a cow. So the man brings a cow over. Then he walks by again. And he says, master, what's wrong with you now? He says, now, who's going to take care of the cow? I got to milk the cow every day. He says, oh, God. He says, why don't you get your own land and children? and they'll take care of everything. And so he says, how am I going to get that? He says, I'll give you land. I'll give you my daughter in marriage. And the man says, and he said, you can have your own children. They'll take care of everything. And the man says, okay, that sounds good. Then his master arrives. The guru walks by and he says, what are you doing now? I thought you were renouncing everything. And he says, yes, master, I'll come back with you. I realized it was all for a rag. It was all trying to keep that little thing that he had possession of. And it's all ends up like that, all for a rag. And as we go inside, we realize that that joy and active participation of in that joy will bring it to more and more and more, like Sister Yanamata, joy, joy, ever new joy. I'll just do a very brief arati here. You can sing from where you are. Shri Ram Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai 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 Jai Ram. Feel you're being blessed today as you gaze into the light. Feel the blessing of God and the Masters in your life at the spiritual eye, their protection, their love, and their joy. Let's close with a prayer. Divine Mother, Great Masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, Beloved Guru Deva, Paramahansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. Divine Mother, we want only thee. Help us to focus our heart's love and devotion on thee. We are thine. Bless us, protect us, uplift us into thy light. And may we share thy blessings with all whom we meet. Om Shanti Shanti. God bless you all and have a wonderful day.